Swami Atmananda, there are a couple of things that I wanted to ask you about regarding abductions, crop circles, cattle mutilations, things that seem to capture the fantasy of, Americans, Europeans, whoever, wherever it's happening, wherever these things are going on. But there was something that you said before that I want to zero in on, and this involves the attitude of the human population towards other living beings. Up to this point, man has thought himself to be the master of this planet. And it's just a matter of time before he gets to the stars and he can control the stars too. He has not been very careful in his treatment of other living beings on this planet, not even other human beings. Now we're seeing that there are other living beings from other dimensions and possibly other planets who come here who are vastly superior in technology to mankind. So this brings up the question of how should mankind behave? What should be his conduct on this planet to avoid creating the kind of disturbance that he has so far created, to provoke other living beings of vastly superior technology from coming here and taking some action, interfering with the course of mankind's development? What are the things that man is doing that are creating this disturbance, and how then should he behave?
In the Vedas, in the Upanishad part, there is instruction how a human should behave if he wants to live his full extent of lifetime on the planet, namely 100 years. Ishavashyam idam sarvam yadkindya jagatyam jagat tena tyaktena bhunjida ma krida kasya suddhanam. Everything belongs to God. So one should take from the Mother Nature only what is necessary for his sustenance, knowing well that the rest belongs to others. This is the original spiritual communism. Because, yes, there is some larding area is given to the human, and it is higher than the larding area given to the plants and animals and insects and birds. That is true. But in the meantime, everybody has his area of living. We never hear of a world war under the ocean or in a water tank. The small fish is the food of the bigger fish, and bigger fish is the food of another bigger fish. But we never hear a world war among aquatics. So, same way, but we do find that human, as you clearly mentioned, that tries to increase his area of larding, and he wants to catch the stars and brings them down, and he wants to have Star Wars. He wants to create new species of life. He wants to supply a number of produced the future progeny according to the order that he makes. He wants to make this many percentages of scientists and scholars and so many laborers, and he wants to control that there will be no thieves in this world. All these type of ideas is because he is going a little too much. So when you cross your area of behavior, then certainly immediate reaction is from the neighbor. And that is what this UFO phenomena is. What the human should do, first of all, he should get back to some normalcy, some sanity. That is, he should understand that there is certain kinds of foodstuffs that a human is supposed to eat according to the design of his body and his digestional system. And there are certain kinds of entertainment that the human is supposed to indulge in. The Vedas do prescribe these rules, that if a human has to be sane, then there should be no meat eating, no intoxication, and no illicit sex and no gambling. This is not advised for the whole population of the world. Naturally, some percentage will be insane. This particular period of time in the creation is known as Kali Yuga, means the age of insanity. So some percentage will be insane, but it is not that the whole world becomes insane. This is why there is interference. Also, exploitation of natural resources like gold, oil, etc. For example, drinking water and springs. These are like the milk from the breast of Mother Earth, whereas oil is the blood from the breast of Mother Earth. So if one extracts too much oil, that is like drinking the blood of the Mother Earth. So one should desist from that. There are other sources of energy which a human is supposed to utilize. One can use metal, one can use oxidized metals, one can use the energy from the sun, one can use the power of the water. These can be used for energy rather than extracting the blood from the earth. And the result of that is there is imbalance in the heated liquid of inside the earth, and you find more eruptions in the volcanoes. And the life water points on the earth should not be closed. It is considered as yes.
What is this? You said the life water points?
Yeah, there are water points on the surface of the earth which are known as life water points according to the Vedas. Now this life water point means this water comes out from the earth and it doesn't die. It always comes. So these sources of water points are sometimes closed for building these huge structures known as downtowns. So then finally what happens is that the breathing holes of the earthly planet, these life water points are like the nostrils of Mother Earth, through which this planet breathes. There is circulation of air within the planet, and this air is blocked. Then just like if your nostrils are closed tightly, then what happens? You get some shivering, some shake in your body. So you get earthquakes. So these volcano eruptions, these earthquakes, and then unexpected erosions from the ocean side. For example, most of these people who are present, who have dealt with the predictions and UFO phenomena, they all know that this beautiful heavenly area of California is very soon going to be swallowed by the ocean. This type of we call this from the Vedic point of view as adibaudik difficulties. This is just interaction of elements. If we don't behave properly and we don't allow grass and bushes to grow naturally, we all want to unload truckloads of cut grass from Mexico, and we want to plant it in front of our houses into some good-looking lawns. But we don't want plants to grow by themselves. And if the trees are growing, we cut them according to the shape that we like to look at them. So imagine if some people were cutting your bodies and your limbs so that you look good to them. We cut the tail of the dog, so we think the word is so wonderful, they look good. So all these things are transgression of right of human. Human have some right, but you transgress it. These animals and plants are subordinate to human control. Just like the citizens are subordinate to the control of the king. What happens if the king acts whimsically? Then the king will be thrown out. It is very natural. So the human is exploiting the resources of material nature in a very self-centered manner. And that self-centered manner, that self that he is thinking of, is not his real self. And he is ruining himself. The result is, you find there is teenage pregnancy, children are killed in the womb by the propagation that the life does not come till 9 months, etc. So all these activities of chopping the head of animals for no reason, for human to consume as food, so many slaughterhouses, and a lot of intoxication, and no control over sexual impulse, no control over progeny. All this is misbehavior and transgression of human right. So the other powerful beings have every right to immediately interfere and put us in our place. Apart from that, they are even afraid that proper human genes won't be present anymore. This is one reason why people are abducted, and there is surgery done on them, and some liquids are taken from their body, because these people are thinking that that this human being on earth now, they're creating too many scientific dangers to this world, especially on the weaponry side. They're creating all these kinds of bombs, and maybe if they thrash it against each other, then no proper human being will be left on the planet. So they want to take our sperms and secretions and keep them, and some of them are even producing model human beings, and they're keeping them ready in case they have to repopulate the earth with proper human beings. So science is advancing in every corner of the creation. As much as we are thinking that we will take the genetic code from the human being and will start supplying to the government of United States according to their order, that for 10 years only scientists will be born, etc. So if human is thinking this way, you must understand other humans are also thinking that way. So the human should behave properly. Our advice would be very simple. Every sane human being should desist from these 4 transgression activities, namely meat eating, intoxication, illicit sex, and gambling. This will bring some normalcy to this planet. And if possible, a person should become God-centered. That means a person should become sharing, loving, and not exploiting either plants or animals or fellow human beings. So compassion for fellow beings, and being very neutral to the supply of the material resources, because we have our area of lording, one should not transgress. And ultimately, as you very beautifully print in your United States currency notes, in God we trust, and we should trust in God. So I'm not giving any new message to you. This is your own message. You simply writing it, you don't follow it. So our suggestion is become a good citizen of the United States of America, and that will automatically stop all dangers from alien entities, from ETs, from UFOs, from everywhere.
Swami, from your description, it seems that the earth is not some lifeless object floating in space, but a living being with air holes and living waters. And how do we... This is very hard for the scientific mind to accept, understand. How can this message be made understandable to them?
It is very simple. When we say earth is breathing, earth has life points, etc., we don't mean this planet earth is a being floating in the space. That's not the Vedic understanding. The Vedic understanding is that for every object there is Adibhautik, Adhyatmik, and Adidaivic feature. Adibhautik means the elemental feature. Adhyatmik means the source feature, or the unit feature. and then Adi-Daivik means superior control. So, you find in the Atharva Veda that the earth is glorified as mother. That is goddess earth. It is not that the earth is just glorified as goddess earth. It will be very little difficult to swallow in the beginning, but there is a person called Mother Earth. And she has a personality, she has got a form, she has got a body, she has got a mind, she has got an intelligence, and she stays in an area known as Varuna. Varuna's area. Varuna is the controller of water. In that area this goddess stays. And this planet is under her control. And this planet has got some holes in it. This planet has got some metals in it. This planet has got some liquid in it. This planet has got some salty water around it. This planet has got some hard earth stuff inside. It's got some vacuum beneath that. And behind that there is some fire area, and behind that there is the ethereal area, and beneath that there is the strong gold area. This is how the Vedas describe the planet Earth. So some of these holes on this earth, they bring either bring water from inside out, sometimes they take water from outside in. Sometimes they bring some air from inside out, sometimes the air goes from outside in. So any scientific brain can understand a big mass of earth floating in this space. If it has some holes, some passage of air and water will be there. This is not very unscientific. It may be little too difficult to understand. There is a person controlling it from somewhere. That's just like if I arrive in your country and I see your nice freeways and your traffic signals and a disciplined way of people behaving, I can only see that. But there is also a government, and there is police department, and then on top of everyone there is the President of America. I may not see him everywhere in the street, but he is there. So ultimately everything is personal. Nothing is impersonal. Even if you have Commonwealth or Soviet Socialist Republic, there are a bunch of people in Kremlin who are ruling the whole place, and they are persons. They are not impersonal. So nothing is impersonal. Impersonal is a feature, and that impersonal feature is the impersonal feature of a personal entity. So the Veda described like this. Of course, due to Western Indological scholars' invasion into the Vedic books and their interpretation of the books, everything has been written off as mythology. But now you see, you have problems and we have answers. So this shows the authority of the Vedas.
Well, let's take a couple of the things that are capturing the interest and imagination of people in the West. You mentioned abductions. What about contactees and their messages from different planetary systems? What do the Vedas say about this type of thing? You yourself are a contactee, in a sense. You have guides, you have informants.
There is two different routes through which the human progresses. One is known as pravritti, another is known as nivritti. This is very widely discussed in the Upanishads. Pravritti means materialistic, and nivritti means spiritual. One is binding, another is freeing. So there are various materialistic ideas, generally classified into three. One, the idea of enjoying. Two, the idea of renouncing. Three, the idea of controlling. These are technically known as karma, jnana, and yoga. All these three are materialistic. So now, in the karma stage or in the fruitive stage, a person wants to exploit the resources for gratifying his senses. In that stage, in the beginning, a person simply acts as a beast, uncivilized way. And if he gets a little civilized, then he has got some rules and regulations, some laws and constitution by which one person's sense gratification will not be disturbed by other person's sense gratification. And as this thing grows up a little more and progresses, then he makes ethical values, religious values. He introduces some law which is superior to human. And then it goes further. A person understands that this personal form or qualities or limitations that we are carrying is always giving a block to our unlimited sense gratification. So at this point, one develops an impersonal bent. He develops this idea that form is difficulty, so to be relieved from all difficulty, one should be formless. Qualities are giving difficulty, so to be relieved from difficulties, there should be no qualities. This is not an impersonal, known as the impersonal path. And sometimes this even takes a very off-track position from here when one thinks that everything is nothing. Everything comes from nothing, everything ends into nothing, so everything is nothing. So these are various tendencies of materialism. On the other hand, the yoga path, one tries to control everything. He wants to walk on water, he wants to bring fire, he wants to control people's mind, he wants to regress people, he wants to hypnotize people, he wants to send telepathic messages. All these phenomena is simply showing the materialistic idea of controlling everything. In all these three situations, a person becomes dissatisfied. And especially in the path of connecting everything to nothing, a person gets totally frustrated. So in the Vedic scriptures, it's very clearly a human is warned when he tries to progress, whether extrovertly by scientific progression or introvertly by meditation, he is warned. In both progressions, one meets the same stages. There is not much difference whether one goes inside or one goes outside, because what is outside is inside. Andam Pinda Sarupasya, Patanjali, the greatest yoga teacher, he says that the human form is exactly a replica of the whole material cosmos. So whatever you will go out you will find the same thing when you go in too. So the religious practitioners and philosophers, they go in, and the materialistic scientist is going out. So both ways you meet the same obstacles. So what is happening is that there are voidist philosophers sitting on the peaks of different hills in the Himalayas, especially in the area of Tibet. They are trying to, by telepathy message, they are channelizing, making contactees all over, especially in the western coast of your country, because they are seeing that America is leading country, and everything that happens in America will be followed by others, because you people are leaders of the world. So they want to make their message very prominent in this country, so that everyone will follow that. So there's a lot of voidism being taught through these contacts and contactees. And this voidism is also a materialistic endeavor. So apart from that, this idea of trying to conquer people either through mental discipline called yoga, or the external discipline by power of money or power or weapons, nuclear advancement, etc. This is also materialistic. So we are in a period of a materialistic progress of humankind. And this materialistic progress, both outward and inward, will bring us to frustration, which we are seeing. It's in many places, it's already brought us to frustration. So this is one reason why these entities are interfering with us, because they do not want that the humankind on earth, they get totally frustrated. Because totally frustrated human beings on this planet means it affects the rest of the whole creation too. So they want to introduce some hope. This is one reason. And all these different human endeavors, maybe sometime it's like a bitter medicine covered with some sugar coat on the top. Little green revolution here, little green revolution there, save the earth here, save the earth there. As long as the idea is materialistic, then they won't be able to accomplish the mission they are looking for. So a person has to see the difference between matter and spirit. And if one has to see that, one has to see the difference between gross matter and subtle matter. And one has to understand that subtle energy is a source of gross energy, and subtle energy has control over gross energy. So at least this is subject matter for my discussion. So if the humankind will research into the subject matter, either you do it with your laboratories or you do it with the information available from the Vedic text, whatever way one does, if one tries to understand this point and study the matter very nicely, simultaneously with consciousness. In fact, right from the old days of science, from Greece and from Italy, at that time there was an interest in studying matter together with consciousness. At a particular time, because it was so complicated, the idea came that we should keep the consciousness separate and just study the matter. And from that time we improved a lot in material science, which gave us Concorde planes and atom bombs, etc. But now we are finding that all our productions of science are simply disturbance for our peaceful existence. So we are looking for space elsewhere, maybe in the moon, maybe in the Mars. But we have to understand that there is enough people there already. And they're even coming here. That's what we are discussing now. So it will be nice if man stands a little bit at this point and looks back where he has erred, where he has gone wrong. The wrong is that we have studied matter without no reference to consciousness. So it is high time that the scientists and philosophers and mathematicians and professors of your country give a serious study to the phenomena of spirit. And that is all these messages that comes from the different contactees show to you, that there is a life beyond matter, there is a soul beyond body, there is consciousness which is beyond matter. So it will be very nice. The leading country of the world, which is United States of America, should lead the whole world in this subject matter. And that's why we are here talking about it, because you are the leaders of the world. So why don't you lead the world in a proper way?